Alrighty. We just gotta pin it on the guy. We can do this. Apollo! I can't believe it. It really happened during the second act? And right in the middle of her performance? The reason why she was in that air vent, and that switch and the flaming guitar, when you link it all together, that's what you end up with. It makes a whole lot of sense is what that does. I knew you had what it took. It be he. Ah, Daddy! Mr. Wright, you believed in me? Not really. Huh? I just thought that'd make a cooler entrance than, say, hiya. Why do I even bother hoping? Where have you been lately, Daddy? I'm gonna be honest, I feel as if he does actually believe in Apollo. He's just being a butt. You haven't been coming to the office at all. Ah, sorry about that, Trucy. I'm on a secret mission. Yeah, I believe that was said earlier, and I am desperately curious what that's all about. Secret? You mean like you're undercover? Like Mr. Latouche, only shorter and not as well dressed. Well, that's just rude. That's a very stylish hoodie. Oh no, what if you're shot too, Daddy? Would I do a thing like that to you? Honestly, considering his, frankly, almost absurd durability at this point, I almost want to say that if someone did try to shoot him in the head, it would just bounce off somehow. Anyway, I'm off for a while again. You're leaving? Oh, one thing before I go. Blah. Good luck. Right. Is that all you came to say? I think you have things pretty much under control. You'll get Machi to buy off the hook, no doubt. Yeah, but you're after that detective, aren't you? Darian Crescent. It won't be easy proving he did it. Especially not under the current court system. The current court system? What did Prosecutor Gavin say during the trial? Your case is based on one fragile assumption. Namely that our diva divine is telling the truth. But what about all the proof? The brooch and the switch. A piece of jewelry and a lyrical blunder. There are plenty of other ways to explain these things. Flaming guitar, too. All because you lack definitive proof of their connection to the case. But, if the sultry songstress is lying, your case melts like butter in a frying pan. Is that just something you casually do as, like, recreation? I don't know, every Saturday at 2 in the afternoon, I just put an entire stick of butter in the frying pan and watch it melt down. Makes me feel alive. Leaving behind the faintly singed scent of failure. So what do I do? Like I said, good luck. And be aware that it'll be impossible to prove his guilt by conventional methods. That reminds me. I have something to give you from our detective friends. From Emma? What up? Let's see, this bag of snacks here was meant for me. Ah, here it is. What are those, Daddy? They don't look like very good snacking material. So says you! They were found at the scene. Analysis of the fragments revealed traces of gunpowder. Gunpowder? Probably a firecracker or something similar like the ones kids are into these days. Firecrackers have been around for decades. Stop. What's with every single character in this game says, oh, just like that's popular with the kids these days, or that's that newfangled rock and roll that's so popular these days. How am I simultaneously in the future and the past at the same time? These fragments were found under the sofa at the scene of the crime, actually. Well, that's helpful. Under the sofa. Hey, Apollo! That's where we found that little device thingy. Right, this. Well, finally some evidence that makes sense. Okay, oh yeah, I can definitely make use of this. Thank you, Emma and Phoenix. That's all from me, I suppose. See you after the verdict. Maybe. Who knows? I could be in Istanbul for all you know. Right. Every man has an igniter inside him. Excusez-moi? Find Darian Crescent's igniter and set it off. That sounded like he just billowed a big-ass cape and... Man just tuxedo masked himself out of this room. And he walked out the door just like a magician.
Magic!
Normally. Why is that a thing you keep thinking? What does he want us to do? What does that mean? I have absolutely no idea. Guess we just have to take his advice and hope it makes sense when the time comes. I guess. We're almost at the finish line. Hang in there, Juicy. Hold on to your silk hat! Things are about to get crazy up in here. Absolutely redonkulous. Court is now back in session. Prosecutor Gavin, where in the ever-loving hell is that weird-ass shark detective? In the witness lounge, ready to be called at any time. Well then call him, you freaking nerd! God! Might I add, I don't believe any of this. Darian was the first detective I ever worked with. We stopped working together when he moved to Criminal Affairs Division 3. But his guitar playing, it fires my imagination. That's nice, but it has literally nothing to do with anything. Correct. Oh, I know. Air forehead. I'm just letting it be known that it makes me feel sad and irpy in my tum-tum. Like, good for you, buddy! Very well. Call the final witness to the stand. Detective Darian Crescent. Name and occupation, please. Darian Crescent, Detective, Criminal Affairs, Division 3. Also, stupid hair enthusiast. Thanks for asking. That's the International Affairs Division, for those of you who didn't know, which is most. And I'm a guitarist for the Gaviners. Maybe you've heard of us. Do you fully understand the circumstances under which you stand before us today? Yeah, I understand, Your Honor. What I don't understand is how you let this happen, partner. You gave me your word I wouldn't be standing here. Situations change, Darian. And don't call me partner. So much for old friends. Methinks he's actually come to terms with the fact that, yeah, this dude did it. Dang. I see what you're doing, Darian. You're pressing the prosecution. Your Honor, if we could begin the trial. Yes, it's high time we did. Let's hear your testimony. You may begin with your response to her testimony. If, in fact, you have anything to say about it. Oh, I got plenty to say. Lying must be a national pastime in Borginia. And wherever you're from, Mr. Justice. Shockingly enough, Hoboken. Conventional methods are out the window, huh? Here goes nothing. I mean, conventional methods are basically just listening to what he has to say and proving my point over his. So unless the game takes away my ability to present evidence or press for information, I don't know how unconventional this can really get. The diva's lying, plain and simple. She's got nothing to back up her story. In the first place, she never heard my voice. She forgot the words because she heard gunshots? As if. Didn't Detective Emma Skye hear those gunshots during the third set anyway? The shooting took place when I was on stage, man. What, were you not paying attention to the proceedings before this? Yeah, ding-dong. Alright, we can probably work with this. So you claim her testimony was a lie, a fabrication, a fibbery. Hey, don't get me wrong, I dig what she's doing, trying to protect that kid. And she's got the court eating vague statements out of her hand just because she's blind. You dumbass, we already proved she's not. You go too far, Darian. Look, all I'm saying is you've got a reliable witness. Also, wait, I got it backwards. She is blind. My bad. Sorry, I got, it's hard to keep track of who's lying about being blind and who okay, no. She is the blind one. My bad. Why not listen to the detective? Detective Skye. I see. Mr. Justice, you may begin your cross-examination. You didn't waste any time finding our weak spot. I can't do this with her testimony alone. I'll have to find some other way to prove when the shooting took place. Okay. Let's see. The most obvious thing to start poking at would be the fact that we've very much proven this. Yeah, but I don't... I think I need more with it, though. Actually, I was there, too. So I hear. Which means you heard them, too, right? The gunshots? Yes. We heard gunshots. Neither I nor Emma actually saw the shooting, mind you. I guess you and her got the same excuse, then. We know one thing for certain here. There were gunshot-like sounds that emanated from that room during the third set. What we must determine is whether those sounds were actually gunshots. Machi heard them too. Remember, he said he ran for the air duct when he heard them? So, how do we figure out just what those gunshots during the third set were? Pretty obvious, I feel. Yeah, Okay, then, if that's all it takes, then... I feel like I can probably just start chucking them now, yeah? Objection! Yeah, there you go. Firecrackers. Makes sense to me. With the igniter, it set them off and went boom, boom. There you go. Some things were found at the crime scene after yesterday's trial. What things? Things I don't really care to mention, but also the important stuff. The first was this small device. That's the remote trigger igniter. Indeed it is. Very astute. And one more thing. These little doodads. What are those? The remains of something burnt? Not another guitar, I hope. Traces of gunpowder were found on those fragments. We have a report that it was something like a firecracker. Eh? How did Gavin know about that? What, you think Detective Sky works for you? I received a report this morning before coming here. In Emma's pure defense, as a defense attorney, that it is literally her job to report all of these things to the prosecution. That is what she does for a living. In fact, the fact that she went out of the way to get Phoenix to tell us about it ahead of time is actually going beyond the scope of her profession. So, she's still doing us a huge favor. She's just also not risking her job in the process, which is fair. That's when I made my decision, actually. What decision is this, Prosecutor Gavin? I registered Darian as a witness in today's trial. Just in case. That raises another possibility. Those gunshot-like sounds during the third set. Could have been 2 firecrackers rigged to go off by remote control. What you gotta say about that? Ah! You got an active imagination, don't you? And I got a dumb haircut. But you shouldn't say every little thing you think. Your explanation there seems a bit too convenient to me. How so? So you're saying these firecrackers just happened to go off right when 2 witnesses came walking by? Ha! That's right. Darian was out on stage when it happened, Apollo. How would he know what somebody was backstage right then? If a firecracker goes off in the forest and there's no one to hear, well, obviously it still goes off and it still makes noise. But, you know, it's harder to prove when it actually happened. You get my drift? Why go through the trouble, man? Dang it! How do I explain this? You may not look it, but Darian is a gifted detective, no matter how dumb his haircut is. Show any weakness, and he's sure to find it. You may not look it, partner. Gee, thanks, but you're literally dressed as a shark! It reminds me. I happened to pass through that very hallway several times that day myself, and I saw something odd there just before the third set. Something odd? A headset, the kind all the band and staff members were wearing. The one that was just chilling on the floor? That's right. We picked this up in front of the door to that dressing room. What if that headset wasn't dropped, but placed? And what if it was turned on? You could hear what was going on in that hallway. You could have heard her throwing snackoos at my head, even if you were out on stage. The telltale signs of the katunk. It was enough to trigger his knowledge. It makes sense. Whose side are you on, Gavin? Listen to me, Darian. There are no sides in a court of law, except for the fact that legally there are. That I just choose to ignore them. There very much are sides, but whatever. Which is why I now turn to you, Air Forehead. I've got a question for you. Oh boy, I might have an answer. For me? The igniter and the burnt fragments that were found at the scene of the crime. It's certainly a possibility that they were part of a ruse to fake the sound of gunshots. Throw the headset from the hallway into the mix and you could fabricate an alibi. But we're still no closer to proving anything. Yeah. Those gunshots might have been real or fake. We can't say. You've raised the possibility that the shots heard during the third set were faked. Now you need to prove the other half of the case. The other half? Look, I'll just tell him. He wants you to prove the thing went down in the second act, while our little piano player was on stage. That's right, Gavin. Indeed. If you can't prove that, then to continue this cross-examination would be pointless. Well, Mr. Justice, can you prove the crime took place during the second set? Yeah. I can totally do that. You better know, Apollo, otherwise we're through. Okay. It can be proven. You make it sound like someone else is gonna come along and do it for you. I'm silently hoping. Let's continue with the cross-examination then, shall we? Witness, your testimony, if you would. This isn't going to be easy. I need some decisive proof, and fast. You ready, kid? Because I am. Oh, boy. Okay, let's see. The shooting took place during the second set. If you're so sure, let's see your proof. Ah, okay. All right, so I need to present something. Okay, let's think this through. The situation, what do I have on hand that could even attempt to prove that? Okay, well, I need stuff associated with the second act. Got the burnt guitar. Igniter. The trigger for the igniter. No. Okay. How do I prove that there were gunshots during the second set? Okay. Let's go with process of elimination here. Okay, so like that won't do it. That's not gonna do it. No. Okay, so okay, hang on, actually. Hang on, this actually might be something. Okay. The mixing board was like, it was recording everything, right? Yeah, it did, because we used it to monitor the other set. Okay. So then, actually, if my line of thinking isn't stupid, I think this might actually be what we need. Objection! Seems the game agrees. Baller. It seems there was clear proof left behind. Right here in her song. Her song? What exactly is this, device thingy? It's a mixing bird. Mixing bird? No, it's a mixing board. It's, 2 turntables and a microphone. I kept it in my pants. A new variety of gramophone, perhaps? Come on, we just used this. Don't get me started on gramophone. This device was used to record the performance part by part. Part? You move the sliders to adjust the volume. Each instrument is adjustable separately, her voice included. Oh! But what does this prove? According to her testimony, at the moment of the shooting, she forgot the words to the song. Ah! You intend to examine the recording at the moment, yeah? We might even hear those gunshots. Aha! See? He's picking up what I'm putting down. Exactly. Ridiculous. I don't know. You seem pretty nervous about the possibility. How are you supposed to hear gunshots back in that dressing room out on stage? Have you forgotten, Darian? We were all wearing these headsets. Oh. We were all deeply involved in our performance. But the siren's headset would have picked up what she heard all the same. But let's get to analyzing that recording! Right now! Alright, so she stopped singing when she heard the shots fired. Find that spot, and I'll find the gunshots. Alright, I don't remember the word, but I'll know it if I heard it. Okay, let's see here. How do I make you play the song? There we go, okay. Alright, don't need any of that. Okay. Let's just listen for a bit. Yeah, it's the start of the second part. Well, that certainly seemed like it. Hang on. Yeah, that works for me. Let's go. Freaking nice. Your Honor, listen closely to this part. This is the track with her vocals. It would be the sound what startled her something fiercely. Bada boom! I did hear something faintly there, yes. But it sounded like a gunshot. What? This has to be some kind of mistake. I believe a case has been made. Gunshots were heard during the second set, which means the siren's testimony was true. Gah! That's what you get for trying to weasel your way out. Order! So, she was telling the truth about what she heard. It was the other man speaking, not Mr. Lotus. Oh, what did he say? It's over. Press the switch, now. Just after that, there was a gunshot, and then the guitar caught on fire. Detective Crescent, you weren't on stage during the second set. You could have done it. But why did we only hear one gunshot on the recording? It's so weird. I'll be completely real. Gavin provides a very unique dynamic. Sure, there were times when Phoenix was able to work, side by side with a prosecutor during a case. But this is just so bizarrely consistent. Once Gavin has been completely convinced of something, he's just like, all right, to hell with my profession. Let's get this dude. Like, every time. It's weird. Why did we only hear one gunshot on the recording? Weren't 2 bullets fired from this weapon? The siren was moving through the air vent, Your Honor. She must not have been close enough for her mic to catch the first shot. But then, as she passed over the dressing room, bang! The gun fired again, and Mr. Lotus's life was taken. Well, he was critically injured. He died shortly later, but whatever. Semantics. Well, Detective Crescent? Once again, I am reminded of something. Our performance that day. Your performance? Seeing the mixing board jogged my memory. You were there too, Air Forehead. Yeah, he did screw up a cue. What is it with you today? Problem after problem, Octung. My hog won't start, my guitar case is busted, my guitar's been burnt to a crisp, and to top it all off, someone's dead. And then there was the performance just now. What was that all about? This part is off. Which is that? Second guitar? Ah! It was you, Darian! I thought it strange at the time. How could you miss such a simple cue? I know you. I know how you play. You're better than that. Oh, well, what? And Prosecutor Gavin, what are you getting at? I'm talking about the murder weapon, Mr. Lotus's 45 caliber hand cannon. As we've learned, even the shooter doesn't go unscarred with a revolver that size. The kickback is enough to dislocate your shoulder if you're an amateur. Alright, I'm gonna be entirely honest with you. I don't know if I would have picked up on that. Wait, you mean his playing was affected because he hurt himself shooting that revolver? You're forgetting something. Yes, Detective Crescent? I'm a trained police officer, I've had firearms training, plenty of it. I'm no amateur. The standard sidearm issued to police officers is a 38 caliber weapon. I know that the number isn't that much of difference, but I assure you, it really is. A much tamer beast. Also, the murder weapon belonged to the victim, Mr. Lotus, which suggests there was a struggle between the killer and victim. So, the killer might not have been holding the revolver correctly when he fired. Which, once again, really does make me have to ask why anybody was accusing Machi at all. Fine. A trained detective with police training and everything? Sure, I could see that being someone like that being able to wrestle a gun out of an Interpol agent's hands. A 14-year-old boy? With a very clearly fragile constitution? That's just weird. Honestly, I feel like the entire case should have gotten thrown out just off that alone, but regardless, we're past that. We're on the right trail. So the killer might not have been holding the revolver correctly when he fired. Is that what you mean? The thought had occurred to me, yes. Gasp! 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 Gasp. Well, does the witness have anything to say to this, or is he a chump? Detective Crescent! What I want to ask is what Mr. Sleeves rolled up ready for action has to say. Hey, you, attorney! What, me? Exactly which piece of your evidence is decisive again? You got a little noise on a tape that could be anything. Did you have an alleged guitar cue missed due to a 45 caliber kickback? I weep for this case, Gavin, I really do. You can line up your little weak pieces of evidence all you want. I didn't shoot that manager. And that's the obvious truth. What's obvious about it? The witness has a point. Oh, wait, you mean we need to establish a motive, right? Huh. The defense's arguments, while persuasive, are not decisive. I believe we should hear what the witness has to say in response to the case so far. Your testimony, please, Detective Crescent. Tell us your reasons why you couldn't have done it. I mean, I have the pieces. I just need to know what you're saying. Come on, why would I even want to kill that manager? You want a reason? Easy. I got no motive, man. This was that diva's first trip to the country, right? How could I possibly know her manager? If I didn't know him, why would I want to kill him? Okay. A simple reason indeed. Prosecutor Gavin, is it the case that Mr. Latouche had not been to our country before? According to our records, yes. Not even once. I see. Very well. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination. Great. Now I need to find a motive. It's okay, Apollo. I already know what we gotta do. Like, I feel halfway confident about this. Okay. Let's see. I want a reason. Ain't got no motive. That was the diva's first trip to the country. How could I possibly know her manager? If I didn't know him... Well, actually, can I press this real quick? Hold it! I mean, he's in Interpol, so you didn't fraternize with him at all during the concert? Fraternize? I don't think we exchanged a single word. As if anyone would want to talk to that old Eastern blockhead. Now the ladies, then, that's a different matter altogether. So you see... alright. I thought maybe we could, I don't know, get something out of that. But alright, fine then. Literally the only thing I've got that could ever work for something like this is this thing. So, clutch it in your hand and shout it true. Objection! Thank you, game! Your Honor, take a look at this. I admit, it's gonna take a lot of explaining. What's that? Looks like candy. It's not. Don't lick it, please. That shouldn't be something you have to tell a judge. Detective Crescent, you ever seen this? Looks like a piece of candy. Okay, sure, buddy. What it is evidence. Don't lick it before you try it. Specifically, this is a replica of a cocoon. It was found among the victim's belongings. A cocoon? Never seen one that color. It's a variety only found in the Republic of Virginia. Nowhere else. Alright, but what is this cocoon replica doing in my courtroom? Well, I mean, I kept it in my pants for this event, but if you're asking what it meant to do with the court, yeah, hang on. Surely this has nothing to do with a motive for killing Mr. Latouche. Does it? It does! Oddly. Wait, I think it does. You don't sound confident, man. Oh, something has to be the reason! A cocoon. Is it one of those silky cocoons? The kind that you can make, well, silk out of? Not this one, no. This cocoon makes a powerful curative. Curative for what? Apparently, it is most efficacious. Efficacious? That's like efficient and... that's a new word to me entirely. I've never read that one before. At treating a disease thought incurable. It's the only medicine of its kind. However, it's illegal to take one of these healing cocoons out of Virginia. Whatever for? If it's such a miracle cure, why not share it with the world? Yeah, that's what I've been wondering. Come on now. We looked into the matter at some length. Apparently, it isn't difficult at all to manufacture the remedy from the cocoon. Yet, if you change the process only slightly, you can easily make a large quantity of something else entirely. A deadly poison, in fact. Okay, well, you know what? Suddenly that seems a whole lot more justified. If someone could take penicillin and turn it into cyanide, I imagine we probably wouldn't be throwing that stuff willy-nilly all over the place either. What? There was an incident several years ago where some of these got out on to the black market. It caused quite the commotion in the global community, though the media was kept largely unaware. Intriguing. All this has led to a strict ban on the cocoon's export. One rigidly enforced by Interpol, among others. Interpol? Boom shakalaka! Right! The victim, Romain Latouche, was an Interpol agent. Detective Crescent, you insist on referring to him as a manager, but that is misleading. Romain Latouche wasn't killed as a manager. He was killed as an undercover agent. So I was trying to smuggle this gumball into the country? That what you're trying to say? I'm saying that could well be a motive for murder. Oh, so I was gonna sell it on the black market, make myself a pretty penny? Ridiculous! I mean, totally unthinkable. Unthinkable, you say? Well, why is that? I'm interested to see how that's unthinkable. Perhaps it's time for another testimony about this smuggling of cocoons business. Alright. International Affairs got a memo about these cocoons. Interpol's all hot and bothered about them. Can't sell them on the black market. Too dangerous. Yeah, cocoon smuggling ain't exactly lucrative anymore. Man, I'm in International Affairs. I know the deal. Indeed. Interpol wanted these cocoons bad enough to send Mr. Latouche undercover. You kids think up the craziest things. But no way am I going to risk life and limb just to get my hands on some dirty cocoon money. Not the most noble of statements, but duly noted. According to reports, these cocoons top Interpol's list. Selling them to an underground organization would be risky. Very well, you may begin the cross-examination. This is the only motive I've got. He was up to something, and I'm gonna find out what. Okay, so what I need to do is figure out why he would want to smuggle the cocoon at all, despite not getting any money for doing so. Okay, Okay, if you can't sell them, then I gotta figure out what exactly it is he would want to use them for. I don't know of anybody he wants murdered, and there are definitely a whole lot easier ways than manufacturing a super poison, so that's probably not the case. Oh. You know, that might work. Okay, but where would I use it? Cocoon smuggling ain't exactly lucrative. Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I mean, like, this sounds like a pretty lucrative situation, I would say. Yeah, not monetarily, but through power? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah! Why not choose a less dangerous buyer, then? I would. How clueless are you? Everyone in the market's dangerous. The second they found out I was a cop, I could kiss my keister goodbye. Why sell to a black market buyer? How about someone like this? That article. That's about the Chief Justice's... A deadly poison can be extracted from the cocoon, but so can a cure. And not a cure for just any disease. A cure for incuritis. Incuritis. I've heard of that somewhere. You went to a victim of the disease this morning. What? That's the disease the Chief Justice's son has. Okay. He got there eventually. Proud of you, buddy. You aren't saying. Our witness is a detective. He would have contact with the Chief Justice. You are saying. Oh, I do be saying, and I be saying it loudly. The Chief Justice would never deal in contraband. But to save his son? Not even to save his own son's life? Ooh. But even if the deal went through, why, it'd be an international scandal. That's Detective Crescent's insurance. If word ever got out, the one with his neck on the line would be the Chief Justice. Detective Crescent, is this true? First I'm a murderer, now I'm a smuggler. How many crimes are you trying to pin on me anyway? Only the ones you've done. Distasteful as it is to think about, if the Chief Justice were the buyer, like, a seller couldn't hope for a better deal. A very cowardly seller. Don't let Sleeves over there trick you. I thought it was Spike, so I made a deal with the Chief Justice. Where's your proof? Well, oh yeah, and you're forgetting one other important thing. I'm probably forgetting a lot of things. Do tell. Interpol isn't the only ones out there watching this. Virginia Customs barely sleeps. They're so worried about cocoons getting out. So we were informed. Let's continue with the cross-examination. Okay. Virginian customs is very thorough. Everything and everyone gets checked. Cocoon possession will get you arrested on the spot and then sentenced to death. Hey man, if there's a way to get cocoons out of there, I'd sure like to know. This would make sense, right? Yeah, now that I remember what Gavin was talking about. I mean, I was just thinking about what in my evidence could be used to conceal something. And yeah, okay, because yeah, he had to get it sent from Virginia to America. And yeah, he used like special connections to get it through. So that would make a lot of sense, I think. Actually, there is one way. What? One way to get something out of the country, no checks. What is it? You become a prosecutor. A prosecutor? Ah! I don't believe it! Dang, you didn't know this part, bro? Okay. Okay, well, man, sorry about this one. Legitimately. Believe it, Prosecutor Gavin. What was it that you told me yesterday at your office? It was a beautiful instrument. It was played lovingly for many years. A guitar befitting of a woman like the siren. How did it end up here? I mentioned how much I enjoyed playing it that night, and she made it a present of it. So this guitar is from Virginia? That it is. They couldn't carry it on the plane. Changes in air pressure and humidity ruined the wood. So we vacuum packed it in her studio. Yeah, I used a special shipping service available to me for transporting evidence. They brought it right up to my office for me. Pristine and untouched. That sounds like a pretty good place to start smuggling crap to me. And that's why his guitar case got all, yeah. Did I get that right, Prosecutor Gavin? Untouched? Quite. The guitar was wrapped in several sheets and vacuum packed in Virginia. The pack was untouched until the day of the concert. Are you saying that guitar was... With cocoons this small, it would have been very easy to use your guitar as a mule to smuggle a cocoon out of Virginia. But what? The drop! I love this song. Which reminds me, Prosecutor Gavin, that guitar had some work done on it recently, right? Work? Good memory, Air Forehead. Well, you know how guitars have a round hole in the front? It's the sound hole! Do you need a better name for that thing? Well, they found something attached to the wood just inside the hole. A broken device of some sort. A broken device? Yeah, this, in fact. An igniter! Exactly. Right, okay, they didn't just set it on fire to be a jerk. It was an insurance policy. Consider this, if you will. What if that igniter wasn't the only thing that was attached inside your guitar? You mean... He means this, of course. There was a way to get a cocoon out of the country. They could use picky Prosecutor Gavin's privileged guitar as a mule. And who better to do that than someone with access? Like a member of the band. Okay, well, that could be a problem. Order in the court! So the igniter was placed in there for a clear reason, it seems. It was a safety precaution. A precaution? Air Forehead. At last, it all comes together. Every strange thing that happened that day. Care to review? Maestro, the gentle sounds of the siren's ballad, if you please. First, my keys were stolen. A harmless misdemeanor, which forced me to break the lock on my guitar case. The key was stolen to retrieve the cocoon from the guitar. I see. But things didn't go so well. The smuggler wasn't counting on the guitar being wrapped. Only a member of the band could get near that case. Unwrapping the guitar would raise too many suspicions. Then the concert began. right about this time. A very large problem presented itself to the smuggler. What's that? Mr. Latouche. Also, that guitar was still full of cocoons. Ah! Mr. Latouche, an undercover agent, was onto something. He would have known about the guitar. He'd only have to check the shipping records. So Mr. Latouche tried to examine the guitar himself. If the cocoon were confiscated then, the gig would be up. The only thing left for the smuggler to do was to get rid of the whole lot. It's over. Press the switch now. The guitar burst into flames, and the cocoon was lost. And then, BAM! Mr. Latouche died, with the siren here to witness it. There's your case. Brilliant, man. Detective Crescent? I gotta know, you make all that up on the fly? For a made-up story, it makes a great deal of sense, Darian. The Republic of Virginia? Sorry, man, but I haven't even been there. True, you haven't. Let's see you make up a story for that kid. How'd I hide the cocoon in the first place, huh? It's not so hard to imagine. You had help. A Virginian accomplice. That's all. Alrighty. That you had an accomplice was clear from the start. The voice she heard proves it. It's over. Press the switch now. You made this transmission from backstage, while your co-conspirator was on stage. But who was it? This is it. A coup de grace. And for once, I know what I'm doing. Ain't that a miracle and a half? There's only one person who could have helped him. Let's hear what Mr. Justice has to say, then. But be warned. With a great accusation comes great responsibility. Thanks, Uncle Ben. Make up your answer on the fly, as it were, and you'll be harshly penalized. Well, then it's a good thing that this is incredibly easy. Are you ready, Mr. Justice? Who was the smuggler's accomplice? Easy enough. Why on earth he would do it, I don't know. But, hey, it's my job to get him cleared of murder, not smuggling. There's only one person who meets all the requirements of the accomplice. And that person is the defendant, Machitabai. But, Mr. Justice, he's your client. The defense attorney accusing his client? That's a new one. No, it's not. I assure you... No, oh, wait. No, it's still not. I assure you, no one is more unhappy about this than I. But I'm here to defend him in the murder of Mr. Latouche. And I stand by my statement earlier, that he is innocent of that particular crime. Indeed, the defendant is Borginian. He does meet the basic requirements to be the accomplice. But what if it was, in fact, the siren? It couldn't have been. Well, you seem sure of yourself. The reason is electronic signals, Your Honor. Electronic signals? Recall that this remote only works to a range of 30 feet. Beyond that, it's useless. Yes, that's true. Now, think back to the testimony. When the shooter made his transmission, the siren was in the air vent, right above the dressing room from where the shooter stood. Let's look at the stage diagram. This is the area that the remote could reach from the air vents. Well, looking at this, it seems the siren still could have done the deed. No. When the shooter made the transmission, the stage was slightly different than shown here. If it was in the middle, it was in the middle of the guitar's serenade, which means you gotta crank that thing up. Part of the stage was raised. Prosecutor Gavin and the siren stand-in were in the air. They were on a tower which happens to be 15 feet tall. Incredibly convenient, that. In other words... Whoa, the remote couldn't have worked from her position in the air vent. Ha! Well, Detective Crescent, what do you say to that? Your Honor. Yes, Detective? Could we see the video where Gavin's guitar burns? It's really funny. Just one more time. For the lulz. Well, I don't see why not. It is rather humorous. Huh? Don't tell me he has a way out of this. Goodness gracious, great guitars afire. I mean, I could easily watch the clip a bajillion times, so please feel free to continue to do so. I would say they probably played this little video a little too often. What? Too bad, so sad, punk. Punk? First you were sleeves, then kid, now punk? You're losing rank fast, Apollo. What exactly were we supposed to see in this video? The problem isn't in what we see, correct, Darian? Right. It's what you hear. We are musicians, after all. Care to explain for us non-musicians? Because I'm lost as hell. I am lost in the woods right now. Sure thing, punk. Let me get your yarn straight first. You're saying I ordered the wee pianist to set off the igniter? That right? Also, please don't make me say those two words next to each other again. Yes? Well, in order to do that, we'd have to press the switch. Am I right? Okay. Well, take another listen. Pay attention to the piano. Piano? Right. But I found the igniter inside of the piano. Isn't it possible that he just put it into one of the things so that the hammer would strike the igniter for him? And he just didn't use that particular key? What seems to be the problem there? The piano sounded just fine. And that's the problem, man! You still don't get it? Ah. Yeah, how's he supposed to hit that switch if he's playing? You got Miss Diva the guitar, the bass, the piano, and the drums. The only one with her hands free was the diva. The siren. But according to you, she couldn't have been the accomplice, could she? Your accomplice would have had a hard time helping out if they couldn't even press a switch. Oh, butts. Oh, cool, we're singing again. Jesus, we get it! I assure you, we get it! The piano plays non-stop. Well, there's gotta be something about it. He couldn't have pressed that switch. Well, Mr. Justice, the piano does seem to be playing when the guitar catches fire. Well, it's okay. We all make mistakes sometimes. Apollo, were you wrong? I can't be wrong. Literally nothing else makes sense. Everything makes perfect sense. How could it all just... Strange. What's strange? No, it's just... Something's odd about the performance there. Odd? Mr. Justice, if Machitabai didn't press that switch, then he could not be the accomplice you claim he is. But everything points to it. Every fact says he's the accomplice. You got the facts wrong, man. Here's some facts for you. Gavin's guitar is on fire, but the pianist didn't press that switch. In other words, your story is full of holes. Mr. Justice, let's hear your final opinion on this matter now. Oh boy. Was the defendant, Machitabai, the accomplice? Your answer will reflect on everything you've said here. Give it some thought. Apollo, if Machi's not the accomplice, then our whole case is ruined. I know that! It has to be him. He was the only one who could have helped the smuggler. Also, just obviously, from his demeanor. He had to have pressed that switch. Well, you'd better find a way to prove it. What do I do? What do I do? There has to be something that doesn't fit. Something odd. Something odd. Wait a second. I hope Apollo's onto something, because I'm not. You thought of something? What was Gavin saying just now? Strange? Something about the performance? No, it's just something odd about the performance there. It's not much to go on, but it's all I've got. What exactly did he hear that was odd? Have you come up with something, Mr. Justice? Oh, okay. May I remind you that everything rests on this? Can you prove Machitabai pressed the switch? Let's hear your final answer. Can you prove that Machitabai pressed that switch? I have to prove it. I don't know if you call this proof per se, but I can prove it was possible. Then, as prosecutor, it falls to me to ask you to show us evidence supporting this. Air forehead, you're sure about this? Accept it, there's no evidence, man! Let's see your evidence, Mr. Justice. On what do you base your claim that the defendant pressed the switch? Well, assuming that my piano hammer theory is absolute bupkis, which, alright, fair. All signs point to having to bust out this thing again. The basis for my claim is music, Your Honor. Music? Oh, what about it? Let's listen to the piano part, around the time when the switch was to be pressed. Right before the guitar burst into flame. Oh! I hear a piano being played, but doesn't it sound kind of simple? Like, you know, the kind of simple that you might be able to get away with playing one hand? Simple? I think I know what he's suggesting. You think Machi could have played that part with one hand? One hand? He only needed one hand to press that switch. He could play the piano with the other. What? So you're some kind of piano savant? No, I just, honest to goodness, have a good ear for this stuff. Well, actually, no. Then what do you know? You can't play a part like that with one hand. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about here. Wait, I know. Hey, Trucy! Yeah, you got something? Mr. Wright, your father, he's a pianist. Could he... Oh, Daddy? He couldn't play a part like that even if he had 3 hands. So sorry. So sad for you. No, not really. Huh? That was just the easy way to prove it. There's always the hard way. Man, how are you gonna prove whether he played it with one hand or 2? You can't. I admit, it will be rather difficult to prove, but it's highly likely he was playing with one hand. How do you know that? The clue is what Prosecutor Gavin described as sounding odd. What sounded odd? I'll bet we can tell by listening to a certain part of the song. No way! Okay, well, it seems we've come to the moment of truth at last. Let's hear what Mr. Justice has to say for himself. Show us the part that proves the defendant was playing with one hand. Right before the guitar burst into flame. Machi was definitely playing one-handed just before the guitar caught fire. And one section of the song proves it. Okay. Well, okay, so the piano was number 4, right? So let's just... Okay. Two hands. I think I might know. Maybe. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna present this. Take that! And I'm gonna hope that I'm right. Prosecutor Gavin, I'm sure you've realized by now just what it was that sounded odd to you. As I'm sure you've realized it yourself, Air Forehead. This sounds like I've gotten the right idea here. Realize what? I'll demonstrate. Let's listen to the part in question again, shall we? Pay particular attention to the "but a fleeting melody" phrase. I felt like I heard it. Yeah. Man, how many times do we have to listen to the same thing? Hey, you're the one who suggested we listen to it like 4 times now. That's not my fault. You're right. Enough of that. Let's listen to another section, shall we? Another section? The guitar bursts into flames at the second of the second verse. Let's listen to that same spot in the first verse. Pay attention to "Oh, that night in your embrace." Yeah? Ah! Play verse 2 again! There it is! It's a simplified version of the same beat. There! Did you hear that? Man. Coming from a long line of musicians actually is paying off for once. They feel the same, true, but they're clearly very different. What? Well put, Your Honor. The phrase in verse 2 is quite simple, or verse rather, but the same phrase in verse 1 has high and low notes. You'd have to use 2 hands to play that for sure. Ah. What's that prove? I think you'd know that by now. This is why I hate dealing with amateurs, man. So the 2 verses had different arrangements. Happens all the time. Not this time, Darian. There's no point in changing an arrangement if you can't hear it clearly. And that wasn't the point. I had him play specifically so that the piano would stay in the background. Oh. Oh! That was what I noticed. Why should the same phrase sound slightly different? I asked myself. Now ask yourself why Machi changed how he played when there's only one answer. He needed a free hand in order to press the switch. Ark! We good? Order in the court! I believe this ties all the facts together. Well, Prosecutor Gavin? Yes, quite. Though, personally, this comes as a terrible disappointment. What? No comeback? I can't believe it, I finally did it! I shut him up! For about 13 seconds. Very well. Barring an objection from the prosecution, I will now state the court's opinion on this matter. Good show, Sleeves. No, great show. It's not over? I don't like it when he looks so happy. You tell him, Gavin. Tell him what's so disappointing. Personally, I'm terribly disappointed. And you, Air Forehead. Damn it! Huh? Me? Yes, don't get me wrong, your case is solid. The facts all check out, but even now, you have yet to show us a single piece of decisive evidence. Yeah, but the facts! Anyone can see it was him! Unfortunately, anyone does not include the law. I'm afraid your case doesn't cut it. But... 1,000 facts might point toward the same conclusion, but without decisive evidence, it's not proof. That's the rule under our current legal system. Then Phoenix was right, this legal system is ass! I don't believe it! Does not seem as though the defense has any more evidence to present. Well, I think if he did, we'd already would have seen it long ways back. It is unfortunate, but at present, this court is unable to acknowledge your accusation. What? Okay, then what the hell do we do? The truth is staring us all right in the face. Why can't they see it? What's the point of a legal system that protects criminals? Apollo, remember what Daddy said? It won't be easy proving he did it, especially not under the current court system. So what do I do? Like I said, good luck. Be aware that it'll be impossible to prove his guilt by conventional methods. Ugh. Every man has an igniter inside him. Find Darian Crescen's igniter and set it off. So what, I gotta force him to confess? I wonder what he meant by every man's igniter. I think he just meant a weak spot, no? The kind of thing that a single spark could turn into a wildfire of emotion. Get him to slip up, say something stupid. That would work as evidence. I won't be able to press him further by conventional means. I gotta find a weak spot in this guy. Something fatal. So can I get back to work now or what? It may look like I got a lot of time on my hands, but I got no more time to play pretend with this dead weight attorney. Well, Mr. Justice, We've come this far without decisive evidence. This witness won't be coming back to the stand once we let him go. Every man has an igniter. Huh? Didn't you say the better the guitar, the brighter it burns, Prosecutor Gavin? Yes. Good guitars are kept dry is why. That provides the best sound. Even a small spark could cause imperishable damage. Your plan has an igniter in it too, Detective. It was there from the very beginning. What? Fighting time, Justice. If you blow this one, it'll be out of your hands for good. Go for it, Apollo! What? This igniter's supposed to come burn me up? That's almost poetic there, Mr. Attorney. All the better. I'm rather fond of poetry. Yeah, you would be. And I intend to hear this one through to the very end. Air Forehead, you are accusing this man, Darian Crescent, of 2 crimes. The murder of Mr. Latouche and the smuggling of a Borginian cocoon. This is your last chance to prove your case. This trial has already run on for far too long. Mr. Justice, this will be my last warning. The moment this igniter of yours turns out to be a dud is the moment this cross-examination ends. Understood? Yes, Your Honor. Then let's have it. Show us the basis for these accusations against Darian Crescent. Okay, this is really my last chance. The key that'll take apart Darian Crescent's plan is... Yeah, I know what I gotta do. Your igniter isn't a piece of evidence. So what is? It is true that I couldn't show decisive evidence. But perhaps what I need to prove my case was something else. You mean, a witness. Somebody entirely in the know of everything that took place. Proving his guilt is a tall order, but I've got just the person to do it. Very well, Mr. Justice. Who is this person who can prove Darian Crescent's guilt? Literally his accomplice. I just have to, get him to say it. The one person who can prove Darian Crescent's guilt is the defendant, Machi Tabai! Your client? Again? Machi Tabai was an accomplice to the cocoon smuggling plot. Without him, Darian Crescent could not have gotten the cocoon. Furthermore, he can easily prove that the one who plotted to smuggle that cocoon is the real criminal in this case. How so? It would require just one of the very cocoons Mr. Latouche was looking for. With the cooperation of the Republic of Virginia, we could burn a cocoon. Yeah. The burnt cocoon would leave a particular residue. A residue we would, no doubt, also find inside the burnt-out guitar. Very scientific of you. A single tear falls down Emma Sky's cheek. She's never been more proud. Thus, if Machi Tabai acknowledges his agreement with Darian Crescent concerning the attempted smuggling of a Borginian cocoon, the case is solved. Darian's laughing again. Your unrelenting passion is remarkable. You really want to get me, don't you? Too bad you'll never be able to. Why not? The little key tickler won't acknowledge anything. Especially not anything to do with cocoon smuggling. What's this all about? Taking a cocoon out of the country means death. By Borginian law. But we're not in Virginia! Yeah, see? If our pianist really was a smuggler, then testifying about it would be suicide. Believe me, he's not talking. But you're wrong, Detective Crescent. What? It's the other way around. If Machi doesn't admit to smuggling here, he's in deep trouble. Huh? How? Look, if Machi admits to smuggling here, then he'll be tried in our courts by our laws. You don't get the death penalty for smuggling in our country. The victim in this case was an undercover Interpol agent. I'm sure the news has already reached Virginia, and they'll likely broadcast our dealings in court today, including the part about the Borginian cocoon. Yeah, but if Machi doesn't admit to smuggling now, he'll eventually be picked up by the Borginian police. And it's not like he's in any danger in our court. We're not gonna find him guilty of murder here. Not now. Yeah, but you can't do this. You can't accuse me. Maybe the law doesn't allow it. But who's going to think you're really innocent after hearing this trial? The same goes for Machi to buy. The cocoon, smuggling, your entire plan. Machi to buy knows everything. There's only one way out of it for him, and that's to acknowledge his own crime. The crime of cocoon smuggling. Don't worry there. I'll get you out of the country. I'll set you up someplace. A hidden mansion? Real nice. You want a house made out of cookies? Or no, a house made out of pianos? Come on. What is he on about? Please! I believe we've hit the nail on the head with this one. Darian, I consider that my last session with you. We rocked. I'm guessing we can treat that outburst as a confession? Oh, he's laughing again. There's a kind of sick desperation in it now, though. I feel pretty convinced. Well, have you been listening to today's trial? Yes. And you'll talk? You tell this court everything? I didn't want it to turn out this way, but I'm not the kind of lawyer that can overlook a crime. Today's trial was all for your benefit, you know. I see no reason why you should hesitate now. I knew. From beginning, I knew. Machi? Situation I cannot explain, but money. I needed very much money. Today's trial raises a delicate issue with our legal system. The only thing definite in a court of law is evidence. This is the golden rule. However, it has become apparent that not all things can be tried by this standard. Should another case of this sort surface, we may have to consider an alternate system by which to administer justice. Anyway, Mr. Machi Dabai? Yes? I promise you will receive a fair trial by the laws of our country. And with regard to the current charges for the murder of Mr. Latouche, this court is prepared to announce a verdict. I thank you. I only lie, but you see truth. You find truth. That's our job. Very well. This court finds the defendant Machi Dabai. Woo! Okay. Court is adjourned. Criminy. These always get so freaking stressful. I wonder what'll happen to Machi. Well, he did smuggle a cocoon out of Virginia. I guess there'll be another trial here. All's well that ends well. The Phoenix returneth! Daddy! I owe you both my thanks. Siren? My, is something wrong? I'm sorry, Machi was your partner on stage, your friend. Yes, I thought of him as my own son. Even now I do, yet something got a hold of him. Something evil. I see that. And he must pay for what he has done. Is that not how it should be? I'm still sorry. Do not be sorry. You have given me courage. Courage? I am considering an eye operation. It was my suggestion, actually. You mean you'll be able to see again? It's funny. I have always been afraid of the light. Light seems so harsh, so unforgiving. According to the doctor, the siren lost her sight due to some kind of accident. An accident? As you know, I suffered from amnesia. I feared that if I could see, perhaps it would open my eyes to the truth I have been running from. I was scared. You know what changed her mind? Hearing your defense in there today. She could feel your gaze, unwavering, Always looking straight at the truth. If the light returns to my eyes, I think I will take up painting. Painting? That's right. She's the landscape painter in sound, after all. I will paint the two of you. I promise. I can't wait, Siren! I owe you my thanks too, Apollo. Thanks, Mr. Right, but for what? You reminded me I need to hurry things along. On my secret mission, that is. Right, your secret mission. Apollo, Trucy, I hope that we will meet again someday soon. You bet! Me too! A bittersweet ending, but an ending we got. And so, like a ballad, the trial flowed on until it came to the end. Thanks to the trial, the guitar's serenade was a huge hit. Prosecutor Gavin's even more dazzling to look at now. But there's something I want to say to that guy. Next time you write a ballad, have them catch the killer at the end. Stressful, but that was a good one. That was a good one. I liked that. Okay, well, 'tis been a long road indeed, but turnabout succession. The final trial of the game. Let's see what happens. I'll see you all then.